Hey, everybody. Super excited for this chat today. CES has always been where the future shows up early, and we're delighted to chat with the head of the CTA, the organization behind CES 2026, to reveal where technology and business and society are headed. Gary, Jim, how are you?
Fabulous. Great to see you, Evan. Great to see you, Jim.
It's great to be here. Woo-hoo!
Great to be here. Gary, of course, everyone in our industry knows you. Jim, perhaps introduce yourself. Who is Jim Harris, and what brings you to CES?
I've been going to CES for, I don't know, since it flipped over from Comdex way back in the late 90s. I love CES. It's the most amazing show, the most influential tech show in the world. And I make my pilgrimage to Las Vegas every single year in January. So it's fantastic. I'm an international best-selling author, and I focus on AI. I'm published in 80 countries.
Fantastic. Well, great to have you here as always. And Gary, how do you describe your role these days and the CTA, whose mission has evolved so much over the years?
So thanks. And I'm really honored to be with both of you. You're just such legends in your areas. The CTA is a nonprofit trade association based in Washington, D.C. area, and we represent the American tech industry. We do all sorts of things with legislation and administrations and trade and you name it, HDTV. We created the RS-232 standard and a zillion other standards, but we're best known for producing CES in Las Vegas every January. CES is where the innovators of the world show up and business is done. And our focus as a mission, as an organization, is to basically catalyze innovation and to make sure that it can happen. And we work with governments to try to make sure they don't mess it up. And we also try to get the people that are the investors, the retailers, the media like yourself, the strategy people and the technology people, marketing people all together in Las Vegas every January at CES.
Gary, AI has been the top trending topic for the last few years at CES, but where do you see it moving? And can you tease out the hype from the reality, and where's it scaling in 2026?
Well, I don't know, honestly, but I could speculate. But I will say that AI is not the technology I would consider to be hype. I consider it as important as the internet itself in terms of the next big move, which will define our generation, because it brings together developments in so many areas, whether it's self-driving vehicles, robotics, healthcare, you name it. It's just going to make everything better in many ways and fundamentally change how we live, how long we live, what we do with our time. And it's incredibly important. And we're just the baby steps. And part of what you'll see at CES is all sorts of different applications of AI. I used to say every company's a tech company. Maybe I should start saying every company's an AI company, because that's where we're heading. And part of what you'll also see is what are the stumbling blocks to get there? Clearly, investment money flowing in is not the issue right now. It's definitely, there's a lot of money going in, but there are constraints. Energy is a constraint. We'll have a focus on energy. There'll be a lot of energy producing products. There'll be a conference on energy as we did a year ago. Also, other public policies. Many countries in the EU have a strategy. They have a national plan. The U.S. has 50 states. We had 1,200 bills introduced in 2025, and that's an issue. I mean, President Trump himself is talking about that very issue frequently because he believes, I believe correctly, that AI will be to his presidency what fracking was to President Obama's presidency. It'll be the technology which saves the economy and makes them look good.
Fascinating. So CES has evolved so much over the years, over the decades, in your case and Jim's case. So what feels fundamentally different at CES 2026 from even a year, 2, 3, 5 years ago?
We always do a pre-show meeting and we do different things. We focus on all sorts of things. But one of the briefings I got was on the new products and what companies are doing. And I don't think I've ever been so wowed as I was this time. the level of innovation being introduced at CES is truly phenomenal. We saw the early indication of that. We had a record number of innovations award entries. It was over 1,300. It was over 3,100. I transposed the number. We also, just seeing the winners is fabulous, but seeing the products, whether it's in Eureka Park, where the startups or some of what the major companies are doing, companies and other in many, many different categories, whether it's in mobility and healthcare and robotics. Robotics is also bigger than it's ever been at CES. We're seeing a transformation there. Obviously industrial robotics has been around for a while, but humanoid robotics, wearable robotics, all sorts of other robotics has been very impressive. And that's something that we'll say. So what makes it different? Also, it's from an international basis. 40% of the people that come to CES are from outside the U.S. It's a global event. It's dominant. We had 55,000 people come. The airlines have put on an additional 20,000 seats to fly in from abroad. Every major airline is coming here. We have policymakers from around the world. We have leading luminaries. We have the top people in tech. This is, we call it a trade show, but in some ways it's a festival. It's an event. It's the World's Fair of Technology. And with over 3,000 exhibitors, it's really something, and no one could see all of it.
Wow.
So anybody who's going, remember to bring running shoes or the most comfortable shoes in the world. It's like going through 40 football fields or something like that. You can't see it all.
Don't wear new shoes. Wear comfortable shoes. Things are further away than they appear in Las Vegas. No question about that. And plan out your stay. We have this incredible app. Every year we make it a lot better. This year we took a big leap. We've added artificial intelligence to it ourselves. And we're seeing from the searches that people are already doing, it's doing exactly what we wanted. It's helping people with a lot of questions. It's helping them plan the show. So they could stay in one facility for a day, then move to another facility for another day. That way they get their time is better spent. They're more efficient. And they get to see what they want done. Obviously, we have incredible keynotes. We have 6, 7 of them. And that was, they include everyone from Dr. Lisa Su of AMD to the CEOs of Caterpillar, Vivendi, Lenovo, Siemens, and even Aura, what you wear in your hand and measuring your sleep and health.
It's great to have Dr. Lisa Su keynoting. She was just on the cover of Time magazine. So to have as person of the year, to have her as a keynote is it's fantastic. A great coup.
Wow. I missed that. She's person of the year. That's phenomenal. That's really cool.
I was person of the year, and there were about seven people on an I-beam, like that famous scene of building New York City with a skyscraper and I-beam and all the workers sitting on it eating their lunch. They recreated it with time.
Awesome. That's impressive.
And it's not just big tech companies. Startups are everywhere. I happen to know because I'm one of the innovation judges, and I spent time looking at hundreds of amazing startups. What opportunities does CES present to startups that may not have existed in the past?
Well, we've had Eureka Park. We started that out as an idea about 10 years ago or so, and it's certainly grown to over 1,300 companies. That's subsidized. It's consistent with our philosophy as an association. I first heard when our big companies were debating whether we increase the cost of space, and the chairman of the board at the time said, we have to always make CES available to anyone with an idea. They'll come there and make it inexpensive. They may max out their credit card, but we want them to have access to retailers, media, investors, potential partners, big companies, buyers, and it's been very successful. But what we have is a whole range of different programs that we haven't had before. CES Foundry, for example, is a stage at the Fontainebleau where we have all sorts of companies, big and small, presenting on AI and quantum with demos and content. We added new innovation award winners. Categories rather. I don't know if you were involved in ed tech, enterprise tech, filmmaking and distribution. We did with Cannes, and supply and logistics and travel and tourism to show the breadth of technology. We also have programming additions in all sorts of other areas. We have accessibility, which is really huge. We've noticed a lot of people with disabilities, leading organizations were coming from basically everywhere and talking to manufacturers about what their products actually can do and how they can help people. And that's been a wonderful synergistic relationship for everyone involved. And we have tracks also on manufacturing with the focus that President Trump has on where manufacturing should be. We have a whole new thing on manufacturing, also on wearables, because wearables have grown so much, and women's health, as well as we have some AI training courses on strategy, implementation, agentic AI, and responsible AI, AI-driven marketing, and a whole bunch of policy sessions on a lot of these things that governments are talking about, whether it be trade, AI, privacy, intellectual property, you name it. We also have something called the Creator Space in Central Hall, open to all badges. And we have C-Space, where our marketing CMOs from around the world, from every business category, come, and they hang out with the tech people, and they see, because obviously if you're in marketing, everything changes so quickly. You got to get there first and know what's going on.
Fantastic. Jim?
Gary, the Trump administration has come to loggerheads with China. And I know in past, there were 1,000 Chinese companies at one time, mainly in Eureka Park, but spread throughout the show. What do you think will be the impact this year with China? I know you mentioned that putting on 20 extra planes, but China in particular, what do you see the uptake and the appetite for CES this year?
Fortunately, President Trump and President Xi have come to some sort of at least temporary accommodation. Certainly, though, there's a long-term strategy under the Trump administration that everything I interviewed the deputy USTR recently on stage, and it was on C-SPAN. And what he said was that, I said, what's your big goal here? And he said, well, everything that we consume in the U.S., we must make in the U.S. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen. Sorry, administration. I know you mean well, but we're pushing for something with the allies. But in terms of the CES, Lenovo, big company, they are actually keynoting at the Sphere, and it is going to be incredible. The talent they have on stage, including, I might add, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, will be on stage at the Sphere. That's a can't miss thing. But China itself, there are some major companies like Hisense and Haier and others that are certainly visible at CES, and that's fine. And they're smaller companies. We welcome everyone from the world. I think we only drew a map around Russia and said we're not welcoming you. We have all sorts of government sponsored or country sponsored pavilions. There's over 20 of them for many countries. China certainly is throughout the show. They are not the biggest contingent in the show. Obviously, that's Americans. They're not even the second business. I believe that will end up being the Koreans in terms of their presence, measured most ways. That was in 2025. But China's, we welcome them to CES. They sell a lot of products. What we don't do is there's an entity list that the U.S. government puts out that says, we won't do business with these people and they shouldn't be here and things like that. We're very careful to follow the U.S. law and even go a bit beyond.
Fantastic. I love the enterprise and IT content that's increasingly present at CES as an enterprise guy. How should enterprise leaders who may not think of going to CES think about it in terms of, they perceive it as a gadget show, which is sort of old fashioned. Maybe it was 10 years ago, a gadget show, but it's turned into kind of a strategy lab in many ways. What say you, Gary?
Well, Evan, I really appreciate you raising that because I didn't even raise it. It's just what you said. We just assume that everyone knows, and you're right, they don't. We estimate that 40 to 45, 50% of the show is actually business to business. It's more businesses selling to other businesses, doing business, and the whole point is to make it efficient, and the business environment is part of that. You talked about Comdex earlier. We competed with Comdex, and that could be a book in itself and what happened with that. But basically, we welcome the business-to-business community. We know that a lot of the exhibitors are doing business with each other. And that's one of the reasons a lot of them come. And we know that the business environment did change somewhat in terms of a bring your own device environment, and that helped us compete with Comdex. But we also did a lot of other things to compete with Comdex. We certainly, I invited Bill Gates to speak every year, and he was coming every year for years, and we got others as well. And all these companies are still there. Some of them may not be as visible. A lot of them have meeting rooms, but they're doing business because it's so efficient. The average person has about 29 meetings while they're there in business. And you can't do that. I remember the CEO of one of the major chip companies thanked me at the end of the show and said, this would have taken me 3 months of traveling around the world to do what I did in 4 days here. So it is efficient. And the other thing we do, and I know you're at other shows as well, is we actually independently audit the show. We view ourselves as being a platform, like a media platform. And so we want hard, good numbers. And we have a duty of honesty. And we urge anyone going to any show to demand that or ask that if you're interviewing the people, where do you get your numbers from? Well, we independently audit. And remember, I'm going to sit in the board of a global organization that requires that, UFI. So I'm pretty proud of that how we do things and how we measure ourselves. But the whole thing is for the customer, it's for the industry, and it's for the betterment of the world. And that's what innovation is about. It's about making our lives better, making our businesses more productive, and raising the standard of living for the world.
Wow, that's like a mic drop moment, but we're going to keep you here another minute. Jim, any other questions here?
Well, maybe just to reflect, Gary has been leading the CTA for decades. And, way back when the show really was about hardware, and then it evolved to hardware and software. And now AI, we've talked about that, but how do you see the continued evolution of CES? Like if you were to cast forward to next year and 5 years out, how will CES continue to evolve? What trends in the marketplace do you see that will change everything?
That's a great question, and we discuss it often. One of the things we talk about that COVID made a difference on is, especially at the CEO of a major company level, is all of a sudden they rediscovered the value of face-to-face interaction. So now we get attention because CEOs see CES, and increasingly what's being focused on is they're bringing their board of directors, they're bringing their key customers, they're having meetings there. They also see, believe it or not, this sounds crazy, but they see it as an opportunity for their staff to team build in the exhibits. So in terms of how the CEOs that really actually pay us, their companies pay us to exhibit, see it, they're seeing it as more of an opportunity than they used to. And they see it as an efficient opportunity. Obviously, it is costly. Some people don't like to travel still for a lot of reasons. And with the debates over remote work and everything else, it's an opportunity for people in their environment to have teamwork and running and manning an exhibit. In terms of the actual product, which is I think what you're really asking about, we see a shift to quantum computing, to more AI, to robotics, to self-driving vehicles, to healthcare, more specific patient-centered health that focuses on the unique aspects of the patient. We see companies like Aura and obviously Fitbit through Google and others measuring more and more parts of the body. We see healthcare providers taking that data and turning it to something that allows us to deal with the fact there's a shortage of healthcare professionals, and we're living older and there's no one to take care of us. So all these things are changing in a way where we're looking at products, devices, and sensing devices, especially with algorithms and healthcare, to actually tell us that we're getting sick, to tell us how we could avoid it, whether it's in our seats in our cars or in our homes. Obviously, with the aging population, we're seeing so many different ways of monitoring people, whether they fall or whether they've taken their medicine or what their heartbeat is, whether they need to get to the hospital. CES is going to reflect all these miraculous changes in robotics and healthcare and mobility and so many other aspects. And the facilitators will obviously be generative AI, quantum, and then the funnels, the restrictions that we're concerned about are government, energy, national policies, electronic borders being put up around countries, the globe, breaking out into those with different views of the world, which are, they are different. We talk about these things all the time.
Wow, that's so exciting to hear. Final thoughts, Jim, besides good shoes, any other advice that you might have for attendees to get maximum value from CES in January?
It's always useful to bring a water bottle so you hydrate. Like if you're going to be doing 30,000 steps a day, remember to hydrate. And Gary's earlier advice about being really strategic and mapping out where you're going, because if you're in the Las Vegas Convention Center West Hall and you need to get to the MGM, it can take you an hour and then an hour to get back. So being very strategic in physically mapping out your strategy about where you're going to. And there are, by the way, some incredible seminars. I'm chairing one, an AI panel. So in the LVCC North seminar halls is like an incredible whole program that you can go to. It really some amazing sessions. So there is so much. So really kind of plotted out.
Yeah, glad you raised that, Jim, because we have over 1,000 speakers. And if you go to our app and you say what you're interested in, the speakers that are relevant will pop up if you ask for it. And they are all over the show. And there's a lot of it will be streamed on the internet afterwards. But it is a matter of planning ahead and seeing what you want and basing it on. And you're right, the conference sessions and the keynotes make sense.
Fantastic. So, Gary, any final words of wisdom, advice, particularly for new attendees?
Well, get a lot of
sleep.
Get a lot of sleep before you get there. If you're not feeling well, wear a mask or don't come. We take a lot of healthcare precautions that other events do not take. But get some rest. It's the holiday season. But people love it after the holiday season to get away to Las Vegas and see the future. It starts out the year optimistically. So thank you very much for taking the time to interview me. And I look forward to seeing you in Las Vegas. Have a great, healthy, and happy season.
Woohoo! Wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Jim. Thanks, everyone, for listening, watching, sharing this episode, and see you at CES. Take care, guys.
Take care.